What do you call a hand plane that's really, really dull? I call it a paperweight, because if it's not really, really scary sharp, it's not going to cut, it's not going to do what you want it to do. You call it as a paperweight. What I'm going to teach you today is how I sharpen hand planes, get them scary sharp so I can get real, real fine shavings when I need them. We're going to start out with one of my favorite planes here, which is a Stanley number 5 1/4. We're going to pop the lever cap off. We're going to set the body aside. We don't going to need that for a while. I'm going to take the screw off of my cap screw here, take these apart, and now I've got my blade out and ready to go, and I can look at that and I can feel that it's kind of dull. We've got a nice 25-degree bevel on there. First thing you're going to want to do is we want to take the back of this and make certain that it is nice and flat, because what sharpening is taking that vertical plane along with this 25-degree angle plane, and we want those to meet at a point, and we want that point to be as fine as we can. So in order to get that, both of those surfaces have to be perfectly flat. If we've got a convex here, it's just not going to sharpen. We won't get to the center of it. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure on our stone here, and we've got a 325 grit diamond stone here, we're just going to place it on there and run it back and forth. And I've already done this 100 times on this particular plane. It is very flat on the back. I'm going to clean up that back, knowing that that's nice and flat there. Then I can take it over. We're going to work on getting this angle here. What I want to do is I like to use a honing guide. Some guys will like to do it by hand and they get good enough at that, but for me, I just don't prefer that. I like a honing guide. Here's an old-fashioned Miller's Falls honing guide that'll hold your blade and you can get it in there nice and flat. Here's another common guide. And again, the whole idea there is just to hold that blade at a particular angle so when you're sharpening, it'll be consistent all the time. Here's another version from Veritas. Works really well. This one works better for chisels, but what I like to use is this particular version from Veritas. And what it's got here is a gauge that I can set up to where I know that I'm going to cut a 25-degree angle on that bevel for my plane guard. I can slide it into here, and there's a guide on here that shows you about how wide that blade is. So that's about 1.5 inches. I'm going to lock this in right at about 1.5 inches. Come on, cooperation is mandatory. Let's open it up first. It'll go in there. I promise it will. I got that set. And the whole idea of setting that for the width of the blade is so that when I'm operating this, my blade will be basically centered in it. I'm setting it down here to 25 degrees. I've got the fence all opened up. What I can do is I can take my bevel and put it up. I can run it right up to this stop, and every time I do that and lock this down, it's going to set that angle on the grind right at 25 degrees. It's going to keep it consistent. When I turn it over, I want to make sure that my screws are basically even, because I want even pressure across that blade so it'll hold it nice and flat. Got that in there nice and tight, and then I can take this off, get that guide out of the way, and now every time I swipe my blade across my diamond stones or my water stones, that angle is going to be perfectly set right on 25 degrees every time. What I'm going to do, and again, this one is set for 325. I'm going to draw that back across there a number of times, picking it up as I go out, pulling it down as I'm drawing it over it. And I'm going to go over that enough times until on this back here, what I'm doing is I'm pushing that metal off or over the edge. I can feel just a little bit of a burr on there. Don't have it quite all the way across there yet. And depending on how dull it is, that'll determine how many times you got to go over it with the different grits. Now I can feel just the slightest little burr across there, and that's okay. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take that burr off like this. So we've done our 325 grit. Now we're going to switch to 600. You always go through a whole series of grits to make that surface finer and finer with each pass. So now we've got our 600 in there, locked down. We're going to take our burr off the back. Nice little shot there. And then we're going to give this a round at 600. And the way we know that we've got it complete with that particular grit is we can feel across here, and taking the stones to it, pulling it up this way, is pulled a little bit of that burr off to the back side. We've got just a little bit there. Let's give it just a little bit more. That'll give us just a little bit of a burr on there. So that's all we need to do with the 600. Let's set that aside. From there, I use water stones. Some guys like diamond stones all through the grits. I like water stones. So let's go over here to our water stones. I like them at 1,000 and 8,000. Now the thing with water stones is you got to keep them wet. The whole idea is they've got to stay wet. So I keep mine in a water bath. We'll pull it out here. Set it right back on this. This side is 1,000. This side is 8,000. One of the things that's critical when you're doing this, if you want your blade to stay nice and flat, your stone has to be flat. So what I do is I've got a piece of granite here with a piece of 600 grit wet dry sandpaper stuck to it. So what I'll do is I'll take this surface and just work it down there. And this makes sure that the surface of my stone is perfectly flat. And you can see the slurry that's coming up on there. What that'll do is I can make sure now that I can see from the reflection on the light that that surface is perfectly flat. We're going to wipe up a little bit of this excess here. Put our stone back on there. I like to take the wheel on my roller here, wipe it off clean so I'm not picking up any grit from a previous stone and contaminating my 1,000 grit stone. Wiped off my blade. We're going to go down here and just hold that in there nice and flat at 1,000 grit. Does a real good job. And then when I'm getting near what I think is going to be in, I'll put pressure on one corner and simply draw it a few times. So when I'm taking that straight edge across my plane, I want to have those corners knocked off just a little bit so I won't get an edge track or a plane track onto my piece. So I've pulled those down. We'll give it a few more rounds here, keeping that stone nice and wet, putting water on there. Acts as a little bit of a lubricant. And there we go. I can feel that we've got just a little bit of a burr on the back of there. I'm going to turn that over, knock that 1,000 grit burr off of there. Let me run over here and grab a paper towel quick to wipe that off. And here we are. I can clean that off, take that off. Now I can turn my stone over to our 8,000 side, and I can see I've used that a few times, so I'm going to clean that up and hold that too to make sure it's nice and perfectly flat. You got to keep your stones nice and flat or your plane won't end up nice and flat and sharp. So there's our 8,000 grit. Wipe up our excess. Set it back on our holder. And there we go. We're going to clean off a little bit of that burr from the 1,000 grit. I'm going to get a little more water up on there. We're going to go ahead and hold this down to 8,000 grit. It doesn't take a whole lot, but it sure does make a difference in terms of getting that cutter nice and sharp. How do you know when you need to sharpen your plane irons again? When they're not as sharp as they possibly could be. Keep them nice and sharp. And once you've got your angle dialed in and your blade's nice and sharp, all you're really doing is kind of honing it and resharpening it. It doesn't take near as long to do. I've got a little bit of a burr there I can see. The front of our cutter is looking real nice. Nice shiny face on that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a nice shiny face on there. That's what we really want. That'll get our cutter nice and sharp. We'll pull that burr off of the back just a little bit like this. Give it one or two more shots on the top. And away we go. We've got a really nice sharp blade there. Now from here, what some guys will do is they'll take a metal strop and some jeweler's rouge, and they'll strop that surface or that face. It's not something I've ever really gotten into. No doubt it has merit. It's just not something that I have found a whole lot of value in, so I generally do not do that. We'll put our water stones back in their bath. We'll get this all cleaned up. We'll get this out of the way, and then we can reassemble our plane. Let's get that off over there, clean off our bench. We can take this out of our honing guide. Always pull it out rather than pulling it back through and risk harming that edge. I'm going to pull it out the front. Set this aside. Something you also want to do is on your chip breaker, this surface right here has to be nice and sharp and clean, because that needs to be 100% in contact with the back of our blade. So what I'll do is I'll take it over to my stone and I'll put it at a bit of an angle like that and just run that through just to clean that surface off. And that's all it generally takes. And you can see I've got a nice clean surface there that's going to be in contact with the back of my blade. And what this chip breaker does is when that wood is being sheared off, it basically directs the chips up and out of the plane. When I go to assemble this, I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to push my nice sharp edge out past the end of my chip breaker like this, and then I'm going to bring that in, so that way I'm not risking having my chip breaker encounter the edge of my blade. And I want that nice and close, literally no more than 1/16 of an inch. Then I'm going to lock that into place. Tighten that up real good. Come on, go in there, screwdriver. I know you can. Lock that up nice and tight and make sure we're nice and even and balanced in there. Tighten it up real good. That's ready to go. We're going to go back over to our plane. Set it down in there with the bevel being down, so the attachment screw here for the chip breaker rides right down into this pocket on our frog. Clips in nice and tight there. We're nice and even. We're going to put our lever cap into the equation. Lock that down nice and tight. And this doesn't have to be super, super tight, but it's got to be snug enough to hold it. It could be a 1/4 of a turn tighter just to make me happier. And that's what matters. Keeping me happy in the shop. That's everything that matters. Got that locked down. Now I'm going to turn this over. And with my adjustment knob here, I'm going to pull that blade out a good ways. I want to be able to look down the sole of my plane here. I want to see that blade sticking out of there. We're a little bit tight here on the chip breaker. Shouldn't be that hard to turn that knob. Let's turn that blade until it's sticking out the face of our plane here. The reason I'm doing that is I want to be able to see that I've got that blade perfectly square to the face of the plane. Come on, am I going backwards here or what? There we go. Now I can look down the face of that plane, and with my lateral adjuster I can turn that to make sure that it's perfectly flat in there, perfectly square to the face. And if you look down this, and you can see the edge of that cutter is sticking up above the face of the plane here, and it's perfectly level across there. If it's not level, you take the lateral adjust here and you adjust it with that. Now I'm going to pull it all the way back in. I want to take that cutter below the surface of the plane. So when I go to set it up, I can start with no cut being made at all. Before I start testing that to make sure it's good, we're going to go back to the crayon, lubricate the base of our plane. Then I can come over here to my sample piece, run it across, and you notice I got no cut there at all. So now I'm going to go back past the lashing. I'm going to, ooh, way too much, way too much. Let's take a bunch of that out of there. Start back over. I just do about a 1/4 inch increment at a time. until I get that where I want it. I want this setup to take just the slightest little bit of a cut. There we go. Get that nice and flat. Look at those thin little wispy shavings that are coming across there. Just nothing coming off of it. So let's get that out the way. And that's all I want, is just those little floaters coming out of there. Maybe a couple thousandths of an inch thick. Roll up nice and even. And then if I want to check that to make sure that it's perfectly square in there, I'll go to an edge like this and just cut one side, cut the other, and see that it's even. I'm getting just the slightest little bit of a cut there. That's what I want to see, is just a nice, even, wispy little cut. That is how you get your plane set up to cut some stuff that is just sharp. That's cutting that off there versus sanding paper, kind of abrading it off. And that is smoother than you can possibly ever get with sandpaper. Just as smooth as glass. If you held it up to the light just right, you'd get the reflection of the light on the edge of that board. I don't know if you can see that on there or not, but that is as sharp as it gets. So right there is the easiest way that I have found to be successful with taking an old-fashioned paperweight and turning it into a really sharp, really functional, good solid hand plane. It'll cut all day long. Go ahead and comment on that if you would. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for coming by the shop today.